5th. Myself, Tricia LeClaire, Chair, Kelly McGovern, Vice Chair, Vinnie Forty, Member, Bruce Wilson, our Health Agent. We have Robbie Griffin here, our Tobacco Agent, and Tina Griffin, our Minutes Clerk. Is Tina in there? I didn't even see her.
Yep, she's here.
She's there? Okay.
Hello, happy
Hi,
Tuesday.
Tina.
Hey, for some reason, I don't have my face on here. Why is that?
Click up above and then you'll click on the video.
That's okay, Beth.
Okay, so everyone's
On recording?
accounted for.
There's a camera. Click on the one that looks like a camera.
Oh, start video. Got it. Okay, there I am. Oh, baby.
Oh, yeah, I can see you. You look awfully white.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, see that short hair? It's the reflection off the hair. I think it's the light behind me on the ceiling. You know, it's
too bright.
giving me, let me try that. That's a little better, right? I don't know. No, it's the light up on the top of the ceiling, you know.
All right, so first thing, let's review the minutes. Well, we already did. So does anyone
Okay, I'd
have
like
anything to say?
Oh, no. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, next thing on the agenda is coronavirus updates.
Basically, I mean, it's been a pretty quiet week. I got a little bit of a scare this morning when I opened up the CDC dashboard and realized that they've cut back on their reporting and had grouped 5 days in a row into the number. So when I opened up and saw 573 new cases, I had a heart attack. But it's actually 573 cases on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So that's much better, you know, about 100, 125 people. So we're down about 1%, which is awesome, really. Our numbers continue to hold pretty low. The majority of the people that we're actually tracking are from one household with a total of 3 other households with 1 or 2 cases in them. But other than that, we're doing pretty good. People are, for the most part, wearing their masks. I'm not getting that many complaints anymore. So I think everybody's getting the drift of it. Everybody's gearing up towards getting school ready. I've been over to the school a number of times, met with the cafeteria people and Peter Morano, and looks like everybody's ready to go. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully we don't have any issues.
That's great. That's what we like to hear. All right, so the next thing on the agenda was cesspool discussion, but it's on hold.
Yeah, I haven't been able to really communicate much with my brethren out there. A lot of the towns still aren't having office hours, and a lot of them are working remotely. So I've got several calls out, but nothing back yet.
Okay. All right, so then the next thing is our tobacco agent. Actually, what time is it? We're actually early. Do you want to look at the employee calendar for September? Update meeting calendar?
Sure. Sounds good.
Sure.
Vinny, I just let you know that I'll be out next starting Saturday. Should be pretty much a quiet week.
What week you on next week?
Yeah, I'll be out next week.
Okay.
I'm only going to be down in Rhode Island, so I'm not too far away. I didn't feel taking a big long trip and having to quarantine.
Let Laura know. I'll covering for you. Got it.
Yeah.
So stay close by there, Vinny.
I will. I don't think I'm going to Newton next week. We'll see. Maybe.
So one of the questions it looks like Laura has is, are we keeping the 2 meetings a month, or are we going back to 1?
Yeah. When we get into October, right now, we've only booked the Arcan room for October 6th. Do we want to continue with 2 meetings or just go back to the 1 meeting schedule throughout the winter months?
That would be answered by you, Bruce. How busy are we, and what do you suggest?
Well, I guess let's stay with one, and when we get to that point, if we need to go to a second, we can do that. I mean, still pretty busy. I mean, I probably had 7 or 8 septic come in the last week that went through with just the one that's got the waiver tonight. So still pretty busy.
So I think, I mean, I think it would be fine to do the one meeting, and then everyone should just keep that second Tuesday that we would typically be on, just open in case we have to add one in.
Now, you thinking that for October or for September?
Yeah, October. Do the 2 meetings in September like we had planned.
Yeah, I think we should keep 2 for September, and I think we do the earlier October one, and then if something comes up, we'll have the second one. If not, we'll go to the early November, whatever. Right, we keep the same spacing, in other words.
So the September ones is not Zoom, that's actually at the town hall, correct? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right, good. It's much easier to do it in person than it is Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess town hall's been busy the last 2 Tuesdays, but it looks like it's freeing up. So I think I would do the 8th, the 22nd, and the 6th, and then go from there. See what the workload is, because we don't want to not do plans since we have septic money in the hopper. We want to get those septic systems in before winter, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of the septics, Laura and I put in for the remaining funds from the account there was $71,213 left over because of the not all of the septics, 30,000 to put in. So we put in for the remaining balance. We have 3 in queue, so we'll probably want to go into the next 300,000. But I want to see a few more applications come in. But I mean, people call and ask about it all the time, so I think it's pretty good.
That's good.
Do you want to go into the complaints section since we have about 8 minutes, or?
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, complaint-wise, I still have one individual who's not happy about having to pay the extra fee at the Maple Gate. I've gone out there, I've talked to the staff, what they charge for their cart fees. I don't find that as a public health hazard. I mean, if you want to have the cart by yourself, you're going to have to pay the premium. But other than that, pretty quiet. A lot of high grass type of things where send out the letter, and usually people are pretty good about getting it cut. Although the one on the corner of Center Street there, I'm not so sure I really think it did a bang up job on that, but I guess it's better than nothing, right?
That was such an eyesore.
Yeah, is the town still doing that, or are they hiring someone to do it?
The guy went out there with like a heavy duty weed whacker and knocked it down.
Weed whacker, yeah. That was pretty high. At one time, it was up to 4 feet. It was like you couldn't see the cars coming around the corner.
Well, 380 South Main Street, Bruce, should be off the list. That was sold, and it's all being revamped, so that'll be forever gone.
Yes, that looks pretty nice. Yeah.
We have a beaver on the access road into the Whole Foods, the new access container wall that they did there. We've got a beaver in there that dammed up the whole works there and backing up water. That will probably want to have the property owner put in a permit and trap it, because it's really making a mess of things over there. So that'll as soon as I see the paperwork come in, we'll push that through.
Yeah.
See if we can't catch them and relocate them. I think it's the same beaver that was causing the trouble up on Hartford Avenue.
There was one over near the T station in Franklin, tore down almost all the trees on the little 25-foot area that abuts the wall. Just every tree was gouged and they fell. And
he's got quite an appetite, because he's going to 30 trees over there.
Yeah. What about that? I thought I heard or saw a chicken complaint somewhere. That,
Yeah, we had a rooster complaint, but it's gone.
okay.
That we sent them the application and told them that they needed to file and that you couldn't have roosters. So I mean, the rooster's gone. Haven't seen somebody.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to tobacco updates with Robbie.
I see that all three parties are present, so is there any that you'd like to address first?
Better be a little louder, Rob.
So we can do save more first, Robbie.
Okay, so Jim, if you can just unmute the 401 number, I believe is Attorney Jabor.
Yep, I sent a request for him to unmute.
Okay. While we're waiting for him to unmute, do you want me to just kind of state the evidence?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello? Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I will give you the floor, or if you want to present to the board what you have. I did forward the email that you sent me from Attorney Nassim. They should have it in their emails. I sent it to them prior and again before the meeting so that they have it in front of them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Griffin. Members of the board, good evening. Last time we spoke, you had asked with the 2 weeks if I could possibly provide some information as to what exactly the state's position was with regard to my client's license. Just some history. My client has a license. He had a license in 2016. That license was for a 2-year period. He had an attorney, Mr. Nassim, who filed, as the law requires, a renewal of that license in 2018. There were some disputes about taxes that were either not paid or not allocated to his account. He continued to purchase tobacco from licensed distributors in the Commonwealth, paid them the taxes each and every time, as well as food. The distributor sent those taxes into the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Those taxes were never sent back saying that they did not have a license or that Save More Gas was not recognized as a licensed facility. Apparently, there was some issue with trying to allocate the taxes for the tobacco, and it took the Department of Revenue some time. There was a Miss Perkins who was the agent for the DOR who handled the matter, and ultimately it got resolved, and she issued the renewal, not a new license, but a renewal of the existing license. To try to comply with the board's request, I asked Mr. Nassim to contact Ms. Perkins, the revenue agent, and ask her whether at any time the department considered the license of the existing license of Save More Gas to be revoked or suspended. And her answer to Mr. Nassim last week was, your client's license was not revoked or rescinded or suspended. So I think legally what you have is you have a de facto license. He had a valid license. Apparently something had to be resolved with the state. This revenue officer was satisfied after they went through all the records that his license was proper and they could reissue a renewal of that license. But at no time did DOR or the town of Bellingham go to my client's store and say, you can't operate and sell tobacco or food. So now that Mr. Griffin and I have had a lengthy discussion on this, and I appreciate the work that he does for the town. And I know that the town's interest is to have a business stay open, to serve the public. This is a family-run business that is there there was 1 or 2 prior warnings on one of the tobacco charges for a sale, and my client was not there on the day that tobacco, apparently that violation. And his admission of that is that if an employee of my store did something wrong, then I have to pay that fine. I will pay that fine. But I did have a valid business and I was operating, and I should not be assessed a $21,500 fine as charged in the violation. So this is a case of the state maybe not properly viewing this particular license. I don't know who at the DOR has the authority, but they have agents. If an agent felt that my client should not have been operating while his attorney was trying to resolve a tax issue with the department, they would have shut him down. Now, I know in Rhode Island, I do a lot of these cases the same way administratively. If they feel that a business who has a license should not continue to operate, they send a notice of revocation out immediately, and then you have a hearing as to whether you can stay open or not. 99% of the times, they allow the merchant to continue to operate while the dispute is being resolved administratively. In this case, my client never even received the notice of revocation, which the Commonwealth under DOR has a right to do. So in the law, there's a term ipso facto or de facto. My client, because he had a license by law, still had a de facto license, continued to pay the taxes, and the issue going forward is that he has none with the department. They've already renewed that license, and they've already approved now his next application, which will reissue in October of 2020.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind. I don't want to interrupt you too further in, but the way I understood it, and I just want to make sure, Robbie, if you can follow through, was it that it wasn't revoked or suspended, they never sent in a renewal?
So according to the Department of Revenue, I am not sure if a renewal was or was not sent in. All I know is that the license was not issued. So whether the renewal wasn't processed in time, that there was a hold, or whether there was a tax issue that they declined the license, there was no license in place until July 27th of this year. So
Right.
Attorney,
I think the correspondent actually said that they didn't show that this location had a license revoked or suspended. It was just not renewed. There was no license from October 1st, 2018 till July 26th of 2020.
Well, that's what Ms. Garcia says, because Ms. Garcia, my client, Mr. Nassim, did file the renewal application on time. Mr. Nassim did file a renewal application on time. When the department received that, then they went through some records and advised Mr. Nassim that there was some issue as to how the taxes were allocated that had come in. And it took, apparently, why it took that much time, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows why it took that much time. But they later found out my client didn't owe any additional taxes. So, you know, the question is, he operated for that period of time, in the distributors in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are required to check the website to see if a merchant has a license or is registered, or else they can't sell to someone that doesn't have a license. So all of the distributors continue to sell to my client, collect his taxes, and pay them to the state, in addition to what he's required to pay when he sells the tobacco. So it's a very strange situation. I don't know why the department didn't take any action. And if they took some action, my client would have had a right to a hearing to go and say, you know, we're disputing the fact that the taxes, and ultimately the revenue, Ms. Perkins agreed with my client and then finally granted the renewal. There was a renewal timely filed by Mr. Nassim. I spoke to him, the attorney who was representing him. You go online and you just file for a renewal of that application, and then you wait for DOR to get back to you. When they got back to him, that's where some of the issues arose, and he worked at the department to resolve them.
If I may,
So go ahead.
A few quick things for you. Just piggybacking or circling back to what you said prior, I know that you said you're more familiar with the state of Rhode Island, but in what you were saying, you said that if a establishment has a license and that the Department of Revenue deems that they should not have that license, that they will issue a suspension, correct?
Correct. That's the law. That's the law in Mass too.
Okay.
They issue a notice of either suspension or revocation.
Your client did not have a license at the time in question because they did not process it as being renewed. Therefore, no documentation would have been sent over. With that being said,
he had an existing license in 2016. He got a license.
That does not apply.
Just like he got a license in 2020.
Okay, but the 2020 license should have been obtained in 2018. I understand.
Right, but when he applied for that, as I said, when Mr. Nassim applied in a timely fashion, then there's some questions arose. Here's what I don't understand. Here's the business here.
Attorney Jabor.
I'm listening, Mr. Griffin.
If Attorney Nassim submitted this on time and submitted the appeal, is there any particular reason you did not submit any of that information to the board? Because the only thing that
there was no appeal. There was no appeal. This is done by way of email and documentation.
Okay, because at
so
the first
the issue
that there was an appeal filed for the misallocation of the tax funds.
What happened was the taxes that were paid, apparently they were saying that he didn't pay enough taxes. And I think the dispute, as I understand it from Mr. Nassim, is that when you buy food and you buy tobacco, you send in what I've told my client to do from here on in is they go right into his bank account and they do an automatic withdrawal of the amount of money for the total purchase, Mr. Griffin. Now I've told him to tell the distributor to first take the tobacco money out and then take the money out for the food so that there's no dispute. So, I mean, if you feel he doesn't have a license, I respect that. I'm telling you legally he has a de facto license. If you want this man to pay $30,000 in fine for your town through no fault of him or his previous attorney, so be it. Then I'll just take the case to court and I'll have a judge decide the case. But I don't think that's fair to the business. I think the town should be friendly to a business, and the amount of these fines passed by the legislature, I don't know who the member was who I spoke to last time, but he agreed with me that this is crazy, these kind of fines, and to bestow this on the local towns to come down on their businesses and charge these ridiculous penalties and fines. It's wrong. This is not someone who opened up without a license. And he's a good business and he's a good neighbor. So why does the town want to hurt this man and his business?
We have no.
He didn't flaunt the law, and he didn't disregard the law. And all during that time, he paid his taxes. So what's the issue here? Why is the town out to get this man?
The town is not out to get anyone. We are.
Well, then if they're not out to get him, then he shouldn't pay. He should just pay a fine for the tobacco, for the sale that you alleged occurred. That's the only penalty that he should pay.
There was multiple violations found during the visit.
There weren't multiple violations. There was a warning, Mr. Griffin. That was it. When you advised him that he should get a license at the town, he went down immediately and got it.
If I may.
And let me finish, Mr. Griffin. And had he had a valid license, this is why when it was renewed, DOR notified everybody that they had to go to the local town. And he wasn't given that notice till they resubmitted the application, and then they accepted his application and approved it when they were done figuring out that, okay, his taxes have been paid. So you passed the new law that required him to get a local license. He was not aware of that because it's a state law, not a local law, and the state never gave the business notice.
There was never a requirement on my behalf to get a new license. My advice to your client prior to my inspection was, I do not see a permit on file for you. If you can reach out to the town office and either confirm that you have one or check your records to make sure that you have one in place, I don't see one currently. I then revisited several days later, which is when I conducted my inspection, established that they did not have a state license, that they did not have a permit for 2 years, and at which point I can guarantee you there was no warning given, hence the fine for $35,000.
Well, then fine him for the $35,000, and we'll see you in court, and we'll see whether or not the town looks good doing this to a businessman who was paying his taxes all during that time. And I asked you to get an opinion from your solicitor as to a de facto license, and I didn't get any response from your solicitor because I think your solicitor would agree with me.
Attorney Riley, would you like to chip in here?
Mr. Riley is here.
There you go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, it seems to me, as we, I think, heard a couple weeks ago, and now we've even seen, you know, Mr. Griffin got some more information from DOR. You know, arguably there's different things being said there, but I think as the other member mentioned, the head of this unit at DOR says that this license was not renewed. Now, we don't really know what went back and forth between the owner at Save More and DOR between 2018 and 2020, but it appears that we're being told by DOR that the license was not renewed. And so to the extent he was making tax payments, well, that's good for him. But that doesn't change the fact, I would say, that he didn't have a state license in place. And then the town's license from this board is a whole separate issue. It's apples and oranges. You need to have both.
Correct. I agree with that the town license is separate. And because he never got the notice from the state on the change of the law as well, that's why until Mr. Griffin advised him, he should go down to City Hall and get the local one. As soon as he was advised of that, he did it. But to say he did, Ms. Garcia is not the director or of that department. She's in the audit division. Ms. Perkins is the person who is handling the actual license, and she has the authority to issue it to her satisfaction. So I really don't know who Ms. Garcia is, but Ms. Perkins, in her note, said your client's license was not revoked or suspended. She answered that question. She didn't say your client did not have a license, therefore there was nothing to revoke or suspend. If she said that,
it was never renewed.
It was renewed. He filed the renewal application at the appropriate time. There then became a dispute with regard to the taxes.
It may have been renewed by your client, but the state did not renew his license until July 27th. And just for my clarification, can you inform me of what law change that your client is informing you of? Because the permit has been required.
What's that?
Can you inform me of what law supposedly changed on behalf of your client that I told him to go to town hall for? Because the permit has been a requirement for many years, probably since before I was born. And the state license has clearly been in effect since pre-2016.
Yeah, the license, he said that you told him he had to go down to the local town and get a separate permit, and that's what he did. I don't know what your regulations are. I haven't researched that with regard to your local town. But as soon as you told him that, he did go down and get it.
Bruce, are you on the meeting? Do you know when?
Yeah, no, I'm here. There is an application in the packet. He came in on the 27th and filed the application. The application is in limbo based on, you know, what the board's reaction is going to be. If the board so deems that he's in good standing and they want to take his application in, then we'll process it. You know, right now we're contemplating, you know, a number of issues, and it's up to the board to grant that license if they so deem that, you know, he's you know, come around and work with the town in order to rectify the infractions.
Robbie, can you just refresh my memory? How has he had a permit every year prior to this with the town, or no?
He had permits in 2015, 16, and 17. Well, I believe 15 is when he took over the business. So he had permits in 15, 16, and 17. He did not obtain permits in 18, or correction. He had a permit in 18 as well. It would have been nullified by the lack of a license at the end of 18. He did not obtain one for 19, and he did not obtain one for 20. Just
Okay.
to
One thing to say is all our licenses for food and tobacco go out on December 31st and they're due on January 31st. So if he filed for food and he filed for tobacco, he would have got one unless we checked. He would have got a local license.
If I may,
but he didn't have a license from
He
January
was selling.
to July.
He was selling food, and he was selling food all of those years.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
you
food
always have to-
permit and the tobacco permit are separate.
The
Correct.
tobacco
And
and the food are separate, and so somehow he was selling with the local food license, I would assume, and or else they wouldn't be able to deliver food there, and he wouldn't be able to. I'm sure someone checked in 17, 18, 19, and 20 whether he had a food license.
we did check.
So
And
we'll
he
have to
would
look
like
and
to-
see if he did apply for the food license, the food permit, and just didn't do it for the tobacco.
He's had them. I do that inspection too.
But they're all sent out. If he had prior licenses, 16, 17, 18, then he should have had one for 19 and 20. He got it on the 27th, 6 months late. So the usual rule is if you're more than 30 days late, the tobacco license fee is double. That's our typical rule for food, typical rule for tobacco.
If I may just add one more thing too. I know that you're stating that your client came in immediately upon me telling him about the permit. I informed him of the permit on Tuesday, July 21st. I went to the store before I did my inspection. So it was a full week later, and he received the fine before he went in to process his paperwork.
That's the fine that's on the violation that you have today.
That is that violation, yes.
Yeah, and I said if he's guilty of that because he filed for that late with the town, then obviously he owes that. We're not disputing that.
Okay.
This thing of his license is a very gray area, and it's a significant fine. $21,500 while he has an attorney representing him before DOR, and there's a hearing officer. I respect Ms. Garcia's title, but there's a hearing officer who's saying that the department did not revoke or suspend. The only thing I can say is the mechanics of it is why didn't the state go in there and tell him he can't sell tobacco, and why didn't they reject the payments, because the payments to DOR went under his sales tax number with the state.
If I may.
So he still had a tobacco sales tax number with the state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's what I'm saying. That's the de facto license that was still there. I don't know why they took 2 years to straighten it out. I really don't. It's unfortunate for him. But the town's in a position now to say, did this man really have the intent to violate the law and circumvent what the town requires? I don't think that's there. I think he's a good businessman. He pays his taxes, and you don't really have any problems. You had one problem with an employee who apparently sold some tobacco, and he removed that employee. That employee's not there anymore. That person lost their job.
If I may, Attorney.
So he just wants to operate, and whatever he owes the town for the license or the tobacco license violation, he's willing to pay that. But to ask him to pay $21,500 when there's no real evidence that he flaunted the law and violated the law, if he never had an existing license, I would agree with you. Or somewhere between 2016 and 2018, he had a suspension or a revocation, and that's the reason why they held up the renewal, then I would agree with you, Mr. Griffin and members of the board. But that's not the case here. He was never suspended or revoked during 2016 or 2018. His lawyer went online like most people do, applied for the renewal of the license, and, you know, we're not part of state government. We don't know what goes on over there at DOR. To me, it shouldn't have taken 2 years to resolve it. I can't explain it, and I agree with you. I don't know why it took that long. So maybe Ms. Garcia looked at it and said, well, he didn't have a license because he was trying to work it out with Ms. Perkins. He didn't get his license. I'm saying he has a de facto license because he had an existing license, and they accepted the state is actually a stop under a legal theory. There's a theory of estoppel. The state's a stopped from even saying he was revoked or suspended because they accepted all of his tax payments and took money from a distributor. Or the distributor should be fined by the state for selling to an unlicensed establishment.
That would be up to the state. At this point,
that's the state.
That's not for us to, you know, we can't.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is the distributor came there and sells the tobacco. They check. They don't want to lose their distributorship license. They have a much larger volume of business than my client. So to say that the distributor would want to take a risk, so obviously the distributor had my client's tax license ID number and made those payments in. What I'm saying now is they've begun to separate food and tobacco, so there's no issue now any further.
Robbie, do the distributors really look at that? Because I feel like we've had an issue where they're delivering stuff to our, you know, the businesses in town that they shouldn't even have, and then they're getting fined because the distributor's giving them things that they're not supposed to have. Do they look at all that stuff, or?
They're supposed to. There's actually one business in particular, who I will not name on this meeting, that happens to be the distributor for Save More, as well as 2 other establishments that were operating without licenses, that they did not check their licenses. They are actually currently being investigated by the state and by ATF.
Okay.
Let me ask one question. Is it possible, I think, saying that Evans Garcia is just a director of the excise tax unit, and Ms. Perkins, I think, just after you said, Attorney Jabbar, if that person's the one that said it was applied for, but we never issued it. First of all, if I'm expected to get a license, like I have through the years, like, you know, a driver's license or a builder's license, if I don't get it in the mail after I sent my money in and my application, you know, I usually say, I gotta contact these people. That said, could this lady, Ms. Perkins, send us a letter saying, if just simply our department messed up, that I would like to see. Then I would have no problem waiving the 21.5. But I need to see a letter from them saying that they didn't have a suspension, didn't have a revocation. They just never sent out the renewal.
Can I ask her? Could I ask her another question? Why it took so long to grant the license?
Yeah, that too.
What was going on for that 2-year period between Mr. Nassim and DOR?
Robbie, I think it would be good for you to reach out to her directly so we get the exact
Right.
answers
Yeah,
to the questions that we're looking for.
Isn't the answer to that question the fact that they didn't do the renewal? So why would they reach out and let them know there was no renewal application?
Well,
It
we
doesn't
don't know
matter
if he
if
did the
you're-
renewal because he did it online. What I'm saying is if they said they never received it, then that will be the proof of the pudding.
I did.
Yeah, I don't.
So
Yeah, I would be.
If you renew online, they must give you a confirmation that says
It
that you've
should.
renewed.
Right, and then if there's a dispute, my understanding is that when the renewal was done online, they have also ways of flagging things, and apparently they flagged his renewal because of an issue with the taxes.
Okay.
So Mr. Nassim then asked that obviously the hearing officer was assigned. It never went to a full hearing.
Okay.
It was just an exchange back and forth between him and her with records until such time as DOR was satisfied now that their questions were resolved. You know, all these allegations by Mr. Griffin, every time we call Mr. Griffin, somebody's under investigation. My client's under investigation is what you said the last time. Now today you're saying the distributors are under investigation.
That would be because
what, do you have any proof that there's investigations going on?
You're gonna have to turn your volume up, Robbie. We can't really hear you. So.
Because I'll tell you what, if you're saying that my client's under investigation by DOR and he's Mr. Griffin, if you're saying my client's under investigation by DOR and he's not, I'm going to sue you in the town. Okay?
Okay, let's let Mr. Griffin answer. It's hard to have him answer and rebut if we can't talk.
I have been informed by the various agents that I have spoken to at the Department of Revenue that they will more than likely. I have called about.
I want you to email me that information tomorrow, and I'm going to call also the tobacco and some people that I know in the FBI and find out if my client's under investigation. I'm going to do that, and we'll cooperate if they are.
You can take whatever actions you would like. I will tell you right now that I reached out to Ms. Perkins, who gave me the same information that Ms. Garcia gave me, but stated for me that the answer had to come from Ms. Garcia, as she is the director of the department, that any information has to come from Evan in that respect. Yes.
Well, then maybe I should call Ms. Garcia tomorrow and give her a copy of Ms. Perkins and say, well, why would someone in your department state that the person's license was not revoked or suspended during the time that you and Mr. Nassim worked out whatever the issues were?
Because it's the verbiage being used. The license was not revoked or suspended. It was not renewed by the state.
But what I'm telling you is he had a license, so legally he has a de facto license. If someone sells, if you had a dispute, I believe that you're in real estate. If you had a dispute with the Realtors Board about your license and they said, we're going to review this, are you telling me that you're not a realtor then while they're reviewing it? There are attorneys that don't pay their annual dues. They never get revoked or suspended. Eventually, they work that out with the Bar Association. But the Bar Association never said you can't practice law during that time.
Let me tell you, if a license is not renewed and it expires, you cannot do business as that licensed professional. Period.
Excuse me, there was no expiration of the license because if you had. It was renewed. My client filed a renewal application online.
It was not renewed until July 27th of this year.
No, it was renewed after they examined the issues.
We're going around in circles here. I think we need to get back on track. We need to get back on track.
So I think what I need to do is get a letter from Ms. Perkins, as the gentleman suggested. I'm not sure what his name is. I apologize, but the gentleman suggested.
Yeah, I think I would like to see that. It's sort of like, you know, we've gone 2 weeks and we didn't quite get, well, we got more information, but we didn't get to the crux of the problem. But if we get this letter from that lady, Ms. Perkins,
I will contact Ms. Perkins. I will contact Ms. Perkins tomorrow.
I suggest you call Miss Garcia as well.
I will call Ms. Garcia. And I'm also going to call the investigative unit of the Division of Taxation, and I'm going to find out who's telling you that my client's under investigation.
Do you have
I'm going to
Evan
find that
Garcia's
out.
phone number? Do you have Evan Garcia's phone number? Because I'm looking right
I
at it.
do. I do.
Okay,
I
very
do
good.
have the number.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
So is the board recommending that he come before us at the next meeting?
Yes, I
Okay.
think, you know,
I think we're going to gather the information from him and the information that we have and put it together and make a decision amongst us with the information that we have, because it's just going to keep going in circles.
We're going around in circles. I mean, it just comes,
I mean,
the director of the, you know, miscellaneous excise unit of the DOR is saying it was not revoked or suspended. He just never renewed.
okay, so if we get this letter in or this email tomorrow or the next day, then technically, if it satisfies it, the 21.5 goes away, the rest of it he has to pay, which is something like 10,000 something, whatever.
Right.
If not, then
Isn't that the state? Is that the state fines? That's not the town fines, right?
no, the state fine is the 21.5. The rest of the fines are
saying that
not
it's
having a
going to the
local
town. It's not
license
coming to the town.
and selling to minors and possession of some other material. So I think that those issues.
There's multiple issues. It's not,
Right.
This is one issue that we're trying to resolve, but there's a lot of other issues
Right.
that are just black and white.
I don't know if my personal opinion is, since the 21.5 is in dispute, we should separate that and everything else should be paid, because
right.
You know, we could go on for several more weeks before we resolve it. So
yeah.
Anyway, that
Okay.
said, I don't know. We can put him on the
Bobby,
agenda.
is there any way for you to turn up your volume? Because I couldn't really hear you that good, and that's why he was overpowering you.
Yeah, can you, I mean, it's just my laptop, so I can try to talk a little bit louder, but that's,
okay.
I mean, just to tell you guys, at the time of my inspection, they were illegally still selling menthol cigarettes. His client told him that they were locked in a box in the back office. They were actually hidden behind an advertisement right on the display case. They also had menthol cigarettes tucked underneath the cash register for sale. They had flavored cigars that they told me were delivered the day of my inspection. I requested their records from the distributor. They had not been delivered in months. And yes, both Core-Mark and the business are being currently investigated by the Illegal Tobacco Task Force at the Department of Revenue, which I really doubt they will present any information for him because it's an ongoing investigation.
But that said, all those other things separate from the not having a state license, those are fines that need to be paid because they are covered under the existing law. And obviously, you didn't have a local permit from January 31 till July 27th. So technically, I think our fine is double because it was operating without a local permit. So whatever the tobacco permit is, I forget now, but that
fee is double, not the fine. The application fee would be double.
The application fee. Sorry about that. Yes, the application.
I mean, I could see if it was, you know, something that just slipped his mind, or, you know, for 1 year, but this is like multiple issues, multiple years.
I personally just find it convenient that.
Well, the other thing too is if you have a license or permit and you don't get it in the mail after you paid for it, paying your taxes and all that stuff, you should always contact the licensing agency, because if you can't show it to somebody, you don't have it. It's the way they look at it, you know.
I mean,
like a builder's license or any other license.
I just like to mention that, I mean, each of the members and myself and Rob, we all have a license of some sort from the state.
Right.
And it comes renewal time, they tell you not to operate or use that license until you actually physically receive that card in the mail.
Exactly.
You've got to pay that. You've got to prove that your taxes are paid. So, I mean, as a licensed surveyor, I'm not allowed to stamp or review plans unless I have the full license in my possession.
But if you also renew online, you instantly get something online as soon as you do it.
And that's what I asked him. I said, well, when he applied for it online, he must have got some type of confirmation that said that he did that. So where's that?
when you apply through Mass Tax Connect. And upon doing so, if you renew your license, if there's an issue, it puts a red exclamation point to tell you that this needs to be addressed. What I find convenient is that they did not present any of the evidence from the supposed appeal that now disappeared from the first to the second meeting. I also find it rather convenient that they obtained the license 3 days after the fine is written. I don't think it takes almost 2 years to resolve that issue. And seeing as they've had issues in the past with renewing their license because Maryland dropped off their files and they had to request a copy of the license in 2017. And when they requested permits, they were returned back stating that they needed CT3T form, which is the certificate of good standing from the state.
If I may, Madam Chair, just briefly, I didn't want to get into a legal argument with Attorney Jabor because nobody wants to listen to that. But, you know, when he raised estoppel and trying to argue, well, DOR was accepting his taxes for 2 years, so they're estopped. They're not allowed to now turn around and say, well, you didn't have the proper license. I mean, I don't know what happens in Rhode Island, but the rule here is that estoppel doesn't apply against the government. So the state, you know, the state is not going to say, well, you didn't have a license, but I guess there's nothing we can do to you because we took those tax payments. That's not the way it works. And so, you know, unless he can show something where unless they can show that it was renewed and something from the state saying, well, we're going to grant this conditionally while we sort out whatever other issues there are, you know, to me, he didn't have a license for 2 years.
Right.
And if we get that letter from Ms. Perkins saying that he didn't have it renewed, but I don't know. She could either say, well, we accepted money, we'll use that de facto thing, but I would like her to say that as a state official,
right,
in charge of revenue and in charge of licensing. If she's willing to do that, then I think the board will go along with it. If not,
I think he just wanted her to say that he didn't owe any tax money and that his license wasn't revoked, but it's not that. It just wasn't renewed.
I want her to say that.
It's not even like it doesn't matter if he didn't pay his taxes. Either way, he just didn't renew it.
Correct. Yeah. I just was wanting her to say that the renewal was done and for some reason, because of taxes, he didn't get the renewal license in the mail or on a computer.
If I may.
He may have gotten a red exclamation saying more information required, but I don't know, maybe he didn't pay attention to it, you know.
I personally reached out to Ms. Perkins. So the email from Ms. Perkins says that the license was not effective until July 27, 2020.
Okay.
So regardless of what she was working on that case, that's the information she gave me. Unfortunately, she then told me that information had come from Ms. Garcia, so I obtained the email from Ms. Garcia. And to talk about what you're saying with the taxes, they don't pay taxes on tobacco. The person that stamps the packages of cigarettes pays the tax. It's not paid by the store. It's not even paid by the distributor. It's paid by the tax stamper. And then they just pay the 6.25 or 6.5%, whatever their normal sales tax is, which gets generated and placed into the system as it would for any other payment.
Okay.
Also, that website, Mass Tax Collect or Connect.
Connect.
They have a whole section of correspondence that goes back from the beginning. So if they actually had a dispute or whatever, there would be something that they could give us to show that there's, been an ongoing problem. I know I have correspondence going back 5 years. So, I mean, I know it's in there.
Right.
So that's why I think we need to get some more information and just review this in person instead of Zoom.
Yeah, we can't do Zoom meetings when we have these issues.
Yeah.
We don't have control over the situation.
But I mean, I think if, we can get the information from him and gather the information that we have, I think we should be able to make a decision and, mail out our decision to save more.
I agree.
Okay, I agree.
All right. Let's move on to the next.
All right. So let's move on to vets. It's a little less complicated.
Rob, do you want to come by? I have a perk in the mornings, but I should be back, say, 10:30, 11. You want to come by and maybe we can reach out with a phone call. Yeah. But I prefer, the both of us are there just so, we can back each other's statement up or take notes or even possibly record it.
Yeah, I will. I will email Miss Garcia tonight and see if I can set up a phone call with her, because the phone number that's listed is just the main office number. They will not release Miss Garcia's number to anyone that calls in. You just get one of the general receptionists. So I will email her tonight and see if we can set up a phone call with her.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, put a list of questions together so we don't forget something,
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Brett is here from Vets, so as you said, definitely less complicated.
Yeah.
I did do some research. I reached out to the Department of Revenue. I know I mentioned at the last meeting that there was a discrepancy regarding when the license period ended. So basically what happened was that I think that there might have been a little bit of a mix-up in the paperwork, and the license was not renewed in October, but the state did not deactivate their account until February. So in their case, they would not have received any notification or anything similar to Save More. The state does not send out anything for a failure to renew. However, when they did apply for their permit in 2019, they would have still gotten a certificate of good standing, the CT3T form, because their account was still active and current at that time. So I know that Brett, obviously we talked about this a little bit, might not have caught it until, I know you went back and forth with Laura a few times when you did apply for the new license, and that it was obviously in the middle of March when everything happened with COVID and everything went remote. So at that time when you didn't have the permit, you technically should have taken the products off the shelves, but that's really up to the board on that point. I know you haven't obviously been selling menthols or flavored cigars and, hiding them under the cash register on me. So if there's anything you'd like to say, or if I misspoke on anything, you can definitely address the board now and you can kind of go from there.
I don't have much more to say, but I just wanted to put in that I cleared up everything with DOR. I paid everything I needed to pay. And once that's cleared, I can apply for the certificate of good standing, which should be not too much longer. So I went through all the steps that I need to do, and I just want to let you know that I completed all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you for your effort.
Thank you.
Nice and easy,
Much easier.
Well, when you do the right thing,
So because it was the same time period, I know that the fine I issued for Brett, it was their first offense in several years. But with the new state fines, it was issued at $21,000 for the failure to have a license, and an additional $2,100 for failure to obtain a permit during that time. Those are the only violations I found. Those are the only violations, like I said, in the last, I think the most recent violation I've seen was 2015, and it was a signage issue. So you can do with that information whatever you'd like. And if you feel that the fines are unjust or anything at this point, you can, I don't know if you want to discuss that now, or if you wanted to have a similar situation and mail the verdict. It's up to you guys.
So Brett, are you able to get the license through the state now that everything's taken care of, or no?
Once I did all the payments, and once those are all processed and whatnot, I should be able to just click apply for good standing. It should go through instantly.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long do you think
that's
that
automatic
will
on
take?
mine.
I scheduled the payment. I had to spread them out a little bit, because if I would pay them all up front, then I would have not a lot of money for operating. So I probably 2 weeks I should be good.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think, as a board, we should discuss it a little bit more. Take into consideration that it is his first offense. He has done everything that he can to correct the issue.
So once we get that certificate of good standing and he's up to date, which will be our next meeting time.
Yeah, within 2 weeks.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. If I should be able to click it 2 Mondays from now, and it should just automatically just go through.
Good.
Okay. So do you want Brett, should we have Brett come back once that's all settled?
Sure. Why don't we do that? Should
Either
be.
that or just send us those two things. We just need to show that it's paid up, and the certificate of good standing is all we really need. That's what they need in order to issue it, correct?
Right.
So just send that in, Brett.
Can you get it? And, you know, save you waiting till the next meeting if you get it earlier.
Although our meetings are pretty exciting, he might want to come and watch.
Yeah, it's true.
You come back every 2 weeks. I'll come back.
I saw you get a little closer when he started to get fired up. You're like,
I'm on the edge of my seat, you know, like his voice. My dog would even pick her head up. She was like interested as well.
That's funny. I'm like, he's gonna go grab popcorn next. Yeah, so we'll revisit this in a couple weeks. Have you come to the next meeting, and then we'll have our decision either for you then, or we'll mail our decision to you.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair? So
Yes.
is your next meeting the Tuesday after Labor Day? Is that right? Or is it longer than
The
that?
8th, I believe, right?
Yeah, let me look at the calendar.
The next meeting is the 8th.
Yeah.
And that meeting's going to be at Town Hall?
September 8th.
Correct.
Yes.
I did book
Okay.
the town hall. Yes.
Yeah.
I personally would not be available for that, but perhaps leading up to Labor Day weekend, I can be in touch with Robert and we could kind of, you know, see if we've got things sorted out, and maybe you wouldn't need anybody, or I could have one of my associates who will be on call, or they can show up if you prefer. We can figure that out.
That sounds great.
Okay.
You might
So
be
I'll have
able to.
Robbie just touch base with you.
Yes.
It'll be locked in, but I believe we still have the Zoom capability, Attorney.
That's true.
Okay.
We do have, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
You might
That's
be
right.
able to have at least sitting on the Zoom. That'd
Right.
be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
We can do that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'll be in
Thank
touch,
you.
Robert.
Thank you.
Okay, so Jamil from Vape City.
Yes, what happened is I have to let go the employees I had. They're expensive. I had a new employee, and he did have a violation. There's no excuse about that. And we explain him, we tell him all the rules, regulation. I been through with the training with him myself, explain him over and over again, and somehow every time you hire a new employee, they do something wrong when you hire a cheaper person. Now, I couldn't afford to have those employees I had before. For example, what is going on with me? I'm not making no excuse here. Just wanted to show you that. What is going on here? Hold on a second. That tells me a sale of the store, what we did, right? Okay, so we gotta go to Bellingham. That's Bellingham. This is a whole day sale, if you can look at it. From today, 10 o'clock in the morning, till now, 8 o'clock, $269.79. Doesn't even pay the payroll.
So Jamil, I think we have a bigger issue though, because, you know, the sale of the minor, I believe, I can ask, Robbie's still here, that your wife was there when it happened.
Okay, my wife was there. I'm telling the employee she was working in the back while she's training him. Customer came in. He's supposed to check the ID. And she even told him, check the ID. He asked for ID. What the shopper did is, okay, you know, he put his hand on this side, he put his hand on this side, he put his hand in the back pocket. That new employee thought he had it, can't find it. So he scanned his own ID. Even she said that to make sure you check the ID. So we had a dumb person we hired, and that's what we get when we hired minimum wage people. So yes, we do have a violation.
Jamil, isn't that fraud? I mean, I wouldn't scan my license for anybody.
No, that's what it is. That I'm telling you, you didn't have the dumb people, minimum wage people. I work with them. Okay, they are dumb as a doorbell. So
That's not
yes, so we had the dumb one. We explained him, told him over and over and over again. And when we asked him why you did that, he said he couldn't find his ID. He was putting his hand all over the pockets, and he couldn't find it. And I have my license outside, so I said, okay, you can find it maybe, so I'll do it. So that what exactly I see in the video too. And my wife was not working on the register. She was facing for back of the shelf doing the merchandising.
Yes, I did see that your wife was alerting you.
Okay, she didn't have the face for register. This would not happen.
So the reason I kind of called Jamil in here was for a couple of things. Obviously, when the violation happened just a couple days after the end of the suspension was a little bit concerned. Additionally, I know at the last meeting we removed some of his prior violations, but I wasn't sure what number this actually was to be able to find out what his fine structure or suspension.
It's difficult to hear you, Robert.
Yeah. So just because at the last meeting, I know that we removed a few of the violations. I wasn't sure how many it was or what number this was going to be for you. I wasn't sure either, first off, how much the fine would be for, because I didn't want to fine you for too much, or for what the suspension length would be, because obviously once you get to a second and third and so on violation, there's additional suspensions that apply. And as I said before, just where this happened, just I think 2 days after you guys had reopened, 2 or 3, from the prior suspension was a little bit concerning. I know that I had personally worked with that cashier, I think the day before, and I come in and remove the products for you guys to have any more issues with flavors. And it just happened to be the same cashier when I went in the next day. So I don't know if you've done anything with that particular cashier in the interim or what your plans were. I know I've still seen him at the shop in between. I stopped by.
What happened is that cashier we did enough with him. I don't think we have experience. Cashier did violation. You made him do. We did so much with him. He's refusing people. Even 100-year-old, he's hiding them. And we're watching on the video of people. Getting a new person, getting into the same problem again.
So you didn't fire him?
I can fire him. But I know if I'm going to get a new person, we're going to get into the same problem. We did so much with him.
I just thought that in the beginning you said that you had fired him.
I did not say that.
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood you. So I don't know if you heard Robbie, because I know it's kind of hard to hear him, but what he was saying is he was trying to figure out what number violation this would be for you. Because at the last meeting, we had, removed a couple of them.
Those violation wasn't a violation. I was never notified.
What do you mean?
Those violation Madeline have, I don't even know what violation those was. I never notified. I never had a violation.
Right. So we removed those ones.
Removed those, right.
There was 2.
Yeah.
Leaving you with 1 left. So we believe that this one here is your second violation.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Problem I have with the violation you gave me the first time. I've been to I talked to everybody where I went wrong, where I misunderstood. The Robert came in and took electronic product. In this paper you send us, he said you can use for medical purpose. Those devices are okay to sell. Now you want to visit this paper you send me. If I'm wrong, or you guys not reading this, number 4, or who is doing what, please read it. Page number 4 on the top. I wasn't wrong on the first time. I took out $25,000. Look, 15 pages here. Look, 15 pages, $25,000 of a product from the store, removed them as soon as I got the letter. So somebody assumed in the Board of Health that I'm going to close down, so this is why I removed the product. No, that's not true. I removed them as soon as I got this letter. I only let medical marijuana product up there, which this paper said you can have it, and you saying I violated it. But please read this and tell me where I violated it. We argue with that for 1 hour last time. You guys didn't know. You open the even package and read inside, and then you still putting the violation on me when this paper said I can have them. The paper you have approved on, this says June, April, this was approved on, stamped, and June 5th.
Jamil, just to throw that out there. The same section that you're reading on page 4, you missed the first part of the sentence, which is that they have to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration.
No, it doesn't say there. It says that, okay, please read it carefully from here.
I have it in front of me.
All right, go read it. Please read.
Yeah, so I won't read the whole definition for you guys.
No, I want you to read from the State Food Administration on.
Okay, so unfortunately, it's a very long run-on sentence.
There's only 3 lines, so read from second line.
Well, the second line is, shall not include a product that has been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for the sale of or use as a tobacco cessation product or for other medical purpose and is marketed and
or for other medical purpose or
but the medical purpose is applying to the Food and Drug Administration.
No. What kind of, this is a nicotine delivery system. Okay. Yeah. What kind of medical purpose can you get out of this?
That's the thing, is it has to be approved by the FDA for a medical purpose.
No, you say or approved or for other medical purpose. No, or means or.
The or is for the cessation or medical purpose. It's that distinguished, but they both have to be approved by the FDA.
It's clearly, I read it, okay? The way I understand it, I don't speak English like you. I didn't went to school like you, okay? Where I understand it, I kept those products, and yes, I still can sell those products, the one you took. But you guys close me out for 2 weeks without even hearing me. You know, that's very unfair. Just close me out for 2 weeks, but without any reason. Didn't even let me say that. This paper says I can have it. Okay, you took my product. You didn't even give me a list. Okay, you didn't even give me those products back. You took them, which this paper clearly says I can have it. What purpose? Nicotine delivery system. This is nicotine delivery system. What's the medical purpose can come out of the nicotine delivery system? You say you can use it. Okay, these tobacco contained product or other medical purpose and the market
that sentence, though.
And sold. Okay, so if I don't understand it, somebody else can explain me, because the last meeting, none of you know that. And you still find
we've actually gone through this multiple times, Jamal, on 2 separate Zoom meetings. And again, we're going in circles.
No, last meeting, there's no need to get angry.
Over an hour, we've gone over this.
But that time, none of you know what to do. You was opening up, you was reading inside, you know, please, you know, give me a break here.
We're looking at the devices, but it said that they have to be FDA approved. You can have anything that's FDA approved.
Doesn't say none of the devices FDA approved. The blow dryer you use is not FDA approved. The lot of electronic product you use is not FDA approved. The toothpaste you use is not FDA approved. This says medical purpose. Okay, so if you wanna, you know, just like,
but anyway, Jamil,
knock the small business down, knock it down. You know,
Jamil,
you close me for what?
You're going backwards, and you're forgetting why we have you here tonight. The reason why we have you here tonight is because your employee that you still have working for you.
I admit that that's a violation. That's a violation.
That's fraud. That's bigger than anything.
Okay, so
that you're talking about.
Well, he did it. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? I never lie to you.
You can't lie because we have proof that it happened.
Listen, I'm admitting everything, okay? I am admitting that. But the fact is, why you closed me for 2 weeks? Why you doing this as small business who was making $1,000 a week? Now it's in $250. I'm stuck 5 years with the lease. I talked to landlord, can I get out of this lease? You know what he said? No. Now,
unfortunately, when you own a business, you have to do things the right way.
I did the
If you
right
run
way.
it the
Only
right
thing
way.
I had a mistake is this violation. I admitted it. Okay, I wasn't there. My wife was there, but the employee did it, and we admitted it. There's nothing we think this violation was anything wrong. Violation was perfectly right. Whatever you're saying, I'm agree with that. But the last violation is wrong. And I
Right.
try to explain that to you over and over again, you know.
You know what, Jamil? We'll talk to Cheryl, our the tobacco lawyer, and ask her to clarify that for you, and see if it's different than what we're trying to tell you.
Okay, so the thing is, guy
We
like
keep going
me,
around in circles, so
educated
maybe
in
we,
foreign country, comes here and read this. To him, or means O-R, okay, is that's a meanest. Okay, that's
But the
the
thing
first
is,
time
Jamil, you didn't argue that before. You're arguing it
I
now
was
because now
arguing
you're on a second.
last meeting. I argue for half hour. You said this is medical. I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna check. You check it. You read it. You admitted yes, that's what marijuana use. And you still. I just want to know why you closed me for 2 weeks.
No, I didn't say it's just for marijuana use. I went through it all to see if I could find that it said that on there, so that you could keep
why
them.
you closed me for 2 weeks?
The reason you were closed for 2 weeks, the original suspension.
Without even hearing why you closed me for 2 weeks.
The original,
can you listen, Jamil?
Yeah.
The original reason you were closed for 2 weeks was because you were found in violation, because directly in that same sentence you read, you have to be marketed for that approved purpose. So when we went through the devices were not specifically marketed exactly for medical marijuana. It was medical marijuana or other dry herbs or other spices. It was not just for that medical purpose. So that was that. You elected to do an additional 1 week shutdown in lieu of paying the I think it was $2,400 fine. So that was why you were closed for 2 weeks.
Okay, why I didn't have the chance to come to before you guys for hearing?
Whoever?
No, I closed down first, then I came to hearing.
the hearing was well before that.
Because no, he did close for the week prior to our meeting.
Yeah, a week later I came in. Okay, so why you closed me? Did ever any town of world can do that to you, close you right on the point?
We can.
Did you ever hear that?
We can. It's actually, if you go to the same regulations that you're reading, on page, let me see here. Let me grab it. It's on page 11.
9, 10, 11, yes.
So, let me see. The first reason was because, well, first off, when I came in before they removed the prior violations, the violation that day was your third violation. So it would have carried with it a 30-day suspension.
That wasn't my third violation. Get this out of the system, okay? That
No,
wasn't.
Jamil.
Madeline didn't like me. She put this violation in there without notifying the Board of Health. This can never happen.
Jamil, I'm trying to work with you. I'm saying the reason that you were shut down before was because those violations were on file before we had them scrubbed from your record. So there was that. In addition to that, let me see. It's on page 11. I'm trying to find it here for you so I can give you the specific section.
Okay, you know what? You guys have been good to me. I don't want to argue with you. Okay, I don't want to argue with anything. Okay. This is Bellingham been good to me one time, and you guys was very good to me. Now you're getting me out of business. Can you tell me one thing? How can I get out of this lease? Because I'm paying. I can't pay for it, and he want to take me to the court if I don't empty that out, and I'm stuck with 5-year lease. I mean,
Jamil, how many other stores do you own?
I don't own any other store. Trust me, my kids have. Okay, I don't have any store. Me and my wife, you know that. That's the only store we have.
But before you had more than just the one store. You sold them to your children, or you
No. This is the only store we have.
Okay.
Maybe Madeline said something about me, you know. I don't know. She never liked me. She put the violation in there. Really, I didn't even got notice of that. You didn't even got notice of that. So that was a surprise to me when Robert came to me and said, oh, you got a violation. You know, I was like, what? you know, but thank God you removed it. You know, you guys been good to me one time. You've always been good to me. You know, I don't want to argue with you. Only I want to know what I can do with my lease. I really want to get out of here, close the store down and go. Just lose everything what I have. You know, there's more money I'm losing every month. If I don't pay him rent, he takes me to the court. He collects 5 years worth rent for me. My house goes. That's it. That's the end of story. This is, I'm telling you, this is right here, $200 some.
Jamil, we wouldn't even have to do this stuff if
No, I'm telling you.
These fines and stuff, if stuff was, you know, done properly. But
So
I mean, we have a history of selling to underage kids.
Had employees, steady employees. When you shut us down, our sale came back to $200-300 a day. We couldn't afford the employee. We had to get the cheaper employee. Okay. Every time I get the new employee and cheaper employee, this happened to me. Okay. Now I have this employee signing it. If he does any more violation, he's paying for it. Okay. And
there are other stores. There are other stores that have kids that work minimum and get paid minimum wage that do not have this issue. We have stores in town that have been open for years and never have sold to an underage kid. Never. In years and years.
Okay, the kid who came to buy that, what did my wife said from the back? Check ID, make sure. He said he looks 21 and over, the cashier, and my wife said make sure you check. They look 21 and over, but they are not. And the kids start laughing, right, Robert?
I don't know if he left. I wasn't in the inspection.
Okay, so he was laughing. So I
the
know.
The thing is, it's not even if someone looks that age. You can't judge how old someone is by the way they look.
Absolutely, I'm agree with you. I'm saying this guy was absolutely wrong.
So if you don't card every single person that comes into your store, then this is where the issues lie.
We had this policy and we told him, I don't know what went to his brain, what he did. Now he apologized. You know, he doesn't. Listen, we did enough with it, you know.
Just so you know, Jamil, this violation carries with it a $2,000 fine and an additional 7-day suspension.
Okay, so I'm leaving all up to you. What you're gonna do with this one? Because you keep on saying that I cannot have it, and I'm saying what I read, I can have it. Okay, you can, you know, win this case. You guys are the boss. You know, go do what you want to do. Okay, second, you want to charge me a $2,000 fine, close me for a week. Hey, wait, what am I going to do? You know, there's nothing I can do. Actually, with you guys, there's nothing I can do. You closing the running business, who was doing at least $1,000 a day, paying the employees, paying the rent, paying the electric bill, paying the taxes every month, you know, surviving, trying to get $2,000-3,000, about $4,000 for myself end of the month. You just shut them down without any good reason. I just want to let you know that. You guys are the boss. Without any good reason, everywhere in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, people buying this product. In Massachusetts, forget about every other town next to me is my customers are going there. You guys did that for no good reason. But you guys are the boss. Just tell me the fine, do whatever you want to do. Just help me out getting out of this lease if you can.
So Robbie,
what's the difference between first and second? Let's ask.
Even if he didn't have another violation prior to this, what would this violation be? Because he sold to an underage kid and the person used their own ID.
Is this $1,000? I think
it's $1,000.
So it would be $1,000. That's it.
$1,000 with no suspension.
And what? No suspension? Okay.
So why don't we do that? I don't know. You want a motion or what do you think?
I think that
we have 2 breaks at this point. Right. Does he realize this?
Right.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Did he relinquish the adult only? I hadn't heard an update on that part.
He did. Go ahead.
So, Jamil, are you running it as, did you get a food permit? Or are you running it as your
I have a food permit.
Okay.
How can I get the liquor license if that not?
You have to go
through the selectmen.
Yeah, I have to go to selectmen. Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, if you guys can't check, not to sound rude, but if you can't check IDs for tobacco, how do you think that's going to go for liquor?
3 years we haven't had the violation. 3 years, no violation.
It's like I said, there's people that have been in this town for years and years and never gotten a violation. Not one.
Understand. I understand, but the people in this town, they have violations.
But
So
if you
we
sell it
got-
to underage kids with alcohol, it's going to be a bigger issue than tobacco. That's all I can tell you.
I know. I don't even know if I can fit alcohol in my. I'm just asking to, you know, see if I can get out of this lease somehow, or I can sell this or do something. You know, I'm just every day losing money. I
Board of Health can't help you with a lease.
I got loan from federal government, which I'm not supposed to use. I'm using this to run this store. I have to pay back, you know, for COVID, and using that money every month, which I'm gonna have to pay back after end of the year. I don't know how I'm gonna pay that from my credit card. I don't know what to do. You know, it's you guys put me in really, really very difficult situation here.
You put us in a really tough situation.
I did. Listen, I had a violation and admit that. Okay, there's no doubt about it. Okay, and I'm very ashamed of that. Not just me, my wife, 3-4 days, we was yelling at that guy. We couldn't really sleep. Trust me, we are more upset than anybody else in this world. We lost a lot. So I'm already very ashamed of that.
So do you
And
guys
I'm
as
not
a board want to make a decision now, or do you want to talk about it a little more?
I think you should look at this, you know, can I sell the medical literacy? Because you took out, this is 15 page right here, 25,000.
All right, here's the deal. We'll get a hold of Cheryl, ask her to confirm that writing. If it's the way that we say it is, because she's the one who really wrote it.
She's the one that wrote it. So, I mean, there's not going to be a question on that. So
exactly. So the way that Cheryl wrote it, we'll have her, you know, say exactly like it is. And if we were wrong, then this would be your first violation of selling to underage kid. If we're right, it's your second.
Whatever you want to do.
There's no arguing with it.
There's whatever you want to do.
Do you guys agree with that, or?
Sure. I mean, like you said, she's the tobacco attorney that drafted the document.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I want to hear her say exactly what it means, because then Jamil can stop arguing with us about that. So, Vinny, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, let's ask her. And let's say that she agrees with, you know, that with him, with Jamil, and not us. So would that mean the last one he served was his first, or was that for sale of that product, right? Versus this time it's sale to a minor, so he'd still owe 1,000. If it was, if the other one was valid, then technically he owes 2.
Right.
So the other option is, I don't know, and we could just say we won't ask her, and well, we will ask her for future, but we'll just make this the first, and you know, whatever. I don't know. It's up to.
Well, we can't keep changing the first. We already wiped out 2 for him.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
because
then,
because this, if we had all the proper documentation for the other 2,
right, this would be.
Then this technically would be his 4th.
Yeah, which would be an indefinite suspension.
And that would mean that he would lose his license altogether.
Right. Okay, I agree. Let's ask Cheryl on her legal opinion. She wrote it, and
then Robbie, you will get back to Jamil and let him know what the decision is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's the first or second violation.
Sure.
Okay. So Robbie will be in touch with you, Jamil.
Doesn't make no difference to me, whatever you say. There's any way we can get out of this lease?
Jamil, we have nothing to do with your lease. You're going to have to talk to whoever you lease from.
You put me out of the business. You know, when whole messages is selling, I'm the only one out. So Bellingham will do a lot to do with this.
No.
Jamil, it would be that you guys did it to yourself.
Yeah.
Not that warning. I'm talking about this thing right here. This thing.
What did I just tell you?
We're
going to contact the lawyer who wrote that, Jamil. We'll be contacting the lawyer who wrote that.
The only guys adopted. No other town did it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got Blackstone right next door.
Yeah,
they adopted the same thing.
How many towns does the state of Massachusetts have?
Currently, oh, how many? 351 towns in
But
Mass.
only 3 of them adapted, and one of them is
Oh,
Bellingham.
So
I think
far,
it's
there-
7
there
or
are
9.
more- There are more on the docket to be doing the same thing.
And nobody took Cheryl's advice. I was the only one supposed to. Cheryl came in, I can't sell my store, nobody else. And you know, whoever the Cheryl is, but you killing the Bellingham.
Cheryl is the tobacco attorney.
Well, why don't the other town listen to her?
We are listening to her.
No other towns.
Jamil, we don't
Right.
worry about other towns. We just worry about our town.
And she just comes in and gives you the order.
Say again?
She just comes in and gives you the order. Or
We asked her to rewrite our regulations to
We
be
went to her.
current, and she rewrote them, and we looked at it, we went through it with tobacco agent, at that time was Marilyn and Cheryl, and the board then made a decision to adopt those regulations.
Okay. All right.
All right, Jamil, so Robbie will be in touch.
So what? Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we're moving on to betterment loans.
We don't have any.
Are we food?
I don't think we have any, right?
And
What,
what
the
about
betterment loans? We did have one.
Oh, an
yeah.
application? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we had an application
Okay,
for
Septic loan?
763 South Main Street.
Yep.
hold on, let me get to it.
Attached is their
We got the
1040.
All right. So it looks like we needed you just need the tax information. My first question is why we don't have 2019, but maybe they didn't file yet because of COVID.
We haven't filed because of COVID yet. That's correct.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, looking at the income, I can't imagine.
It's not going to get up to our criteria of 150.
All right.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for the septic betterment program for 763 South Main Street.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
So
motion carries.
Tricia, you're the one that signs that one. So if you want to just, Bruce, do you want her to pop over or do you want her to print that page out and sign that page?
I actually have, no, I don't have it, no.
Yeah. Do you have, Vinny has other paperwork. I'll retrieve
okay, sorry.
Vinny and I can.
I'm looking at it now, I have 18 Cutler. Let me just see if I have any other paperwork in here. I don't think I do.
I'm working a 12-hour day tomorrow, so I wouldn't be able to
No,
sign it until
I don't
this
have
Thursday.
anything else in the package. Let me look again in the back.
But I can stop into the office on Thursday if you want.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute, there is, yeah, there is the application approval here.
So I'll call Vinny and bring it by to Kelly's house.
Okay. Yeah, but the application that she would sign, Tricia, is here. It is here.
Oh, you have it?
I have it. I do. It's in the back of the form.
All right. Well, do you want to drop it in my mailbox or do you want to bring it to the town and I'll stop there Thursday or what do you want
Yeah,
to do?
I think I'll bring it to town because I don't know. Well, is it going to get any quicker if I drop it off to you? I don't know.
Well, I'll get it and I'll sign it and bring it to the town Thursday. It doesn't really matter. Or I'll
Yeah,
go
I
to the
guess
town Thursday.
Either way, it's not going to get to the town until Thursday. So I'll
Well,
just
here,
drop
if
it
you're
off at
going
the
to
clinic.
Stop and Shop, drop it off at my house. If
Okay,
you're going to
yeah.
Market Basket, bring it to the town.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Okay, I'm good with that.
All right.
The tomatoes are more expensive at Stop and Shop, Vinny.
Yeah, no, just that I went last week for something to Stop and Shop, and
He goes
Yeah.
to both,
Yeah.
wherever the deals are.
I usually go to Market Basket. Well, actually, I usually go to BJ's for everything, and I forget things. Whatever, that's fine.
I share my time equally inspecting.
Oh, okay, you're an equal opportunity person. I'm not.
That's right.
I'm
All
old.
right. And then plans for review.
Yeah,
Yeah.
18
Cutler Street.
Cutler Street.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Hang on. Like to request a local upgrade approval for residents at 18 Cutler Street, 310 CMR 15 405 1H to reduce the separation at the bottom of the soil absorption system from 4 feet to 3 feet, within the percolation rate greater than 2 minutes per inch. So that's the request for 4 to 3 groundwater.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I will sign that and get it over to you, Bruce, or you want it to Kelly?
Yeah, I'll get it to me and I'll drop by to
Okay,
Kelly.
great. That's fine. That way there you'll have the other application too.
Okay.
All right. And we don't have any bills, huh?
No bills.
That's interesting.
I could give you a couple of mine.
I don't want any of yours. I got it my own.
Yeah.
But so I just wanted to bring up, I personally would like to look at each of the stores individually. I think it'd be great for us to get together, look at the different fine amounts and compare what the fines are for each store. Obviously we don't want to put anyone out of business, that's for sure.
Right.
But I think that it would be good for us to sit and look at the different fines, the amounts, and where we can work with the people, and then send the decision out by mail. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. Less confrontational?
Well, that's what I feel. And then we can look at it and I
agree.
think we're all on the same page where we're not trying to put people out of business, but when you don't have a license for years and years, to me, that just says you don't care.
It's the state fines too that are going over the top. It's not the town fines. They keep saying that the town's going to get $21,500. That's not what's going on here. That's the state that dictates those fines.
Exactly. And the state numbers are much higher than the town numbers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Governor Baker did say that he was making this very strict because, of the Department of Public Health saying that when we had 18, we're servicing children at minors that were under 16 or even under 14. So by bringing it to 21, he's hoping when people violate now, it's only 18-year-olds buying it and not 13-year-olds, 14.
So I just want to hear what Robbie has to say. And we can't really hear him that good.
Sorry about that.
So we'll have to be quiet so we can hear what he has to say about his thoughts on, coming up with a plan and submitting our decisions by mail.
I'm sorry, it's tough to hear me. I'll probably get a microphone if we go back to Zoom again. I just wanted to actually bring up a couple things. So I know it didn't make it on the agenda. I didn't catch it until afterwards, but I actually submitted my invoice for reimbursement on the tobacco products I bought, as well as the mobile printer. So
okay.
I don't know if I have to resubmit that again. I know you guys had voted on it before, and I just had to put it together, but I had sent it to the office and just wasn't sure. The invoice total was for $384.26 between the printer and then obviously all the tobacco products that were purchased during the stings.
Yeah, so we had already approved the printer,
That's
and obviously what?
I think that's in process. I'll have to follow up downstairs.
Okay, I didn't see it on the agenda, so I wasn't sure if I had to get it again.
If not, when I go in on Thursday, I can sign, and then maybe Vinny will be there too, so he can sign. Because I'm sure he's not going to come to my house. He's going to go to Market Basket. So,
we've already approved that, so you can feel free to sign it. Yeah, because we've already approved those.
Yeah, that's all we have to do is just sign it. So if it's not in the process, then Bruce, you can get that set up, and then me and Vinny can sign it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then just a couple quick things for you guys. Again, the licenses for the tobacco expire at the end of next month, so in September. I want to send out either a mailing or I will hand deliver a letter to each business stating that your license needs to be in effect by October 1st. If not, I will be fining you during my compliance check if you do not obtain it, because I more than likely will be doing more checks in the end of October. So I wanted to just clear that with you guys. Additionally, whatever you guys decide on these is obviously fine by me. I personally take issue where the store owner has been, and for lack of a better term, shady regarding a lot of things. He's openly lied to Attorney Jabor. He's openly lied to me. Attorney Jabor has lied about me at this point. So whatever you guys want to do to take care of them. With that being said, I have actually probably had 6 or 7 phone calls and visits with Tony over at AJ's as well. I don't know if you want to bring him into the next meeting. He's more or less convinced me that it was kind of an honest mistake with the flavored products. I did review the records from his distributor. There was nothing that was delivered for a very long time. The items that were there were borderline expired. And in the defense of a lot of these stores, if it's not something like cigarettes that specifically say menthol that are outlawed, a lot of the things that are getting caught right now, and not just in that store, and a lot of them are, when the name of the cigar is Baboom, like you're not going to know it, first off, what the flavor is, or if it's a flavor. It's just the way that they've really marketed them and packaged them is a little bit tough. So Bruce and I Bruce had a bunch of the lists that I've been operating on printed up, and I have been hand delivering them to every location so that they have them. So that there can be no discrepancies in the future, but I didn't know. Again, I told them that I would see if you guys want to bring them in, but he's requesting that we kind of give him a warning with a step increase on this one. So in the event that there is another violation, he jumps right to the $5,000 fine and 30-day suspension, as opposed to serving the $2,000 fine or $1,000 fine, whatever we decided, and the 2-week suspension at this point. So it's whatever you guys think. I don't know if you want to bring him in. I just wanted to mention it to you before the end of the meeting.
I mean, I don't think we need to bring him in. I think we can add that to, the list of people, the fines, and discuss that, and then mail him a letter stating what what our plans are. I think it would be good for us to have how much the fees are, Robbie. I don't know if there's like just a Excel sheet or something that says like you get fined this much, I don't know, for not having a license, this much, for the state, and then this for the town. And so, because when you're talking about it, for me, it's like hard to follow, but then have the different stores and what we're fining them for and how much.
Yeah, I can absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I like that idea because you're right. It can be confusing,
So if we have them all broken down on and I don't know if it's something you can print off that program you have, for us to view at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of look at it and see if there's any way we can work with, everyone, and then come up with a plan together as a team, and then mail them our decision.
Sure.
That's a good idea.
We can mail our decisions. Sarah confirmed that.
Okay, good.
It helps what they think going around in circles.
Yeah, right. We're chasing our tails sometimes. So another quick thing is, Robbie, did I hear that you say the vendor sometimes ships stuff in, the product doesn't say what it is, and they're used to just... Well, you know what I'm going to say? We need to send a letter to the vendor, through the tobacco agent via the Board of Health. We'll sign it, all of it, and say, if the vendor is, how do I say it, not describing the product and something that's illegal, the vendor will get fined because they're causing a business in town to get a violation because they're too lazy to maybe realize Massachusetts laws stay change.
I have. So I reached out to all the distributors for the town, and I forwarded to them the same 35-page document that I used to all the establishments, so that they have the list we operate off of, and told them to black mark all of these in their list.
Perfect.
And
good.
No one can order those products at this point. It's not so much the distributors as it really is just the brand of the cigars themselves. It's mostly cigars I'm having the issue with, because when they come in, I mean, the overall brand name is Acid, but then the specific is blue, red, or green. It doesn't actually say if it's a flavor. There's nothing written about being.
Okay.
They are on the list.
And that's what he was saying that at the meeting that he came into last time. He was saying it's very hard to distinguish because they're both they're both blue,
Exactly.
but one's flavored and one's not, and so.
Yeah, that's pretty bad marketing and packaging, really bad.
Well,
I have
it
a
kind of sets
question,
them
Dawn.
up for failure.
Well, maybe it worked in other states and maybe it worked in Massachusetts before the new law, but now they got to realize they're hurting our businesses because, you know, they're not the most, you know, let's say, well, I don't want to say not the most educated. The problem is they're not used to looking at a product with discretionary eye, you know, saying, listen, I got to check every product and make sure. And then the guy already left and you got to say, hey, you got to get rid of it. It's not allowed in Bellingham, you know, and they probably already charged.
Can I ask a silly question? Do the distributors just deliver things that they don't even order?
The distributors do not. So when they order
So they're
stuff,
ordering this stuff.
but they don't know. So like, for instance, just to use the example of acid again, acid red, blue, and green are banned, but game red, blue, and green are okay.
Sheesh.
And like, for instance, the Dutch Masters Blue is banned, but Dutch Masters Blue Palma is okay.
Yeah, but again, they're the ones that need to be ordering it, and they're ordering the wrong ones.
Yeah, but they don't know, Kel. They
It's
can't.
the distributors don't block
But it's
it
up to them. Isn't it up to the establishment to know what they can and can't order? They're the ones ordering it.
What the problem is that they trust these distributors way too much.
Yeah.
The distributor handed out a list that was incomplete. The distributor's list was missing, what, about 8 pages, Rob, if I remember right?
Right.
Yeah, it was more than that because, I mean, the state list that we get has everything. So it's the smokeless tobacco itself, the hookah, like everything's on there. The distributor list in the case of AJ's didn't have any of the acids listed. They did miss one where the Baboom was actually on the distributor's list as a flavor, but they just missed it in the store. But they did genuinely remove everything else that was on the list. So, but again, there's a lot of them there's a lot of them where the colors themselves don't matter. So like red is a flavor, but red sweet is okay. Or things of that nature, even from within the same brand. So it's a lot of times the store owners don't know or didn't know what they couldn't have. They now all have the list, so there really shouldn't be any issues. I think maybe just treat this section as a warning. I think AJ's was the only one that actually got bagged for a flavored cigar. The other ones were actually menthols.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I think that's a good idea, you know. So do we email them a decision?
The distributors are bringing tobacco products to facilities that they don't even have tobacco license.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that they need to learn is not to trust these people.
I have a feeling they're like delivery drivers. They deliver packages to the wrong address.
Yeah.
And they don't even check. And then they'll, you know, the person says on their email, it says package delivered. And then they're all over Facebook and Bellingham News saying, hey, if anybody got a package, you know, this happens at least twice a week. Yeah. And sometimes it's close by. Sometimes it's in another town. They delivered it to a street in Blackstone instead of a street in Bellingham with the same name. You know, I know.
So we're gonna put it on the agenda.
Yep.
We don't need anyone to come to the next meeting. I think if they can bring it, you know, if they have information that they want to share with us prior to that, we can, you know, review it and it will just help us make our decision.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I was kind of glad that, you know, I said, well, okay, he's representing us, but Mr. Riley said, you know, he didn't agree with Attorney Jabbar because he says, well, Rhode Island law is different than Mass law. So, you know.
I think
he said the same thing in that it wasn't renewed. It's just we didn't say it was not revoked or suspended. It was never renewed.
Never renewed.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the part he didn't seem to understand.
No, he understood it.
I just
He's a litigator, gonna make it cloudy.
Well, he was using that de facto thing.
If I can say one thing too,
you know, and I've heard that, and I said, well, is he right? But I was glad town council jumped in So.
I did. I was Googling it at the same time, and he was wrong. But I wasn't the attorney, so I'm glad the attorney said
okay.
something.
Attorney Nassim was so great with the paperwork. Why did they fire him and hire Attorney Jabor to defend them?
Right. Yeah. Remember? The first guy. Yeah. I don't know. I have a feeling he fired him because he didn't renew it.
Exactly.
He's just trying to threaten us now with a lawsuit to get his
Yeah.
way.
Well, as
well, that's why I'm saying we have to make sure we have everything the right way and we have
correct.
all
Yeah.
our proof. And then if he takes us to court, I mean,
put it this way: if he goes to state court, I have a feeling the state is going to back the town.
Well, they're going to back their Department of Revenue, who told us there was no
right.
active
Yeah,
license.
right. That's the other thing too. I have a feeling it's going to be an uphill battle. You know, you may have to waive his fee.
They're not going to spend the money. They're not going to.
A lot of the fines
with the
are
Department of Revenue.
state fines. They're not town fines.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he kept saying, "Oh, the town's going to take the $21,500. What are you going to do with that?" It's like it's not our fine. It's the state's fine.
Right.
We do get that money though.
We do though.
Oh, we do?
No, we do. Yeah.
Oh, we do.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't do get the funds.
So which you would like to be my bail call?
I'm glad I didn't say anything.
Well, the governor did say the rationale there was it'll keep local inspectors, how do I say it, to be more aggressive because there's money to be made for businesses that are violating the law. And state doesn't really want to send inspectors around. Remember, like salons.
They still do though. They still do for tobacco.
But they don't send them as often, you know.
They do it
just like the
once or twice a
FDA.
year.
The FDA inspectors. You can get that fine, and if we find out about it, that counts. But what I'm saying is, they don't do it as often as we're doing it, you know.
Right.
The Attorney General and the labor are sending me complaints that come in because they don't want to deal with the complaints about employees and masks and
right.
stuff like that. They're not following up on it. They're sending it.
Hey, by the way, for food, places that have food and therapy, I'm not going to go so much with a certified, but the therapy animal. I'm going to put together you're going to love this, Trish. I'm going to try to put together a regulation. I'll have to see, if I can write it well. But I'm going to be using two.
I'll help you.
Oh, no. I'm going to be using two cases. One I have taped. I love it. So, and
I'll help you.
It was from a
You gotta
judge.
wait till May.
Okay.
You gotta wait till May.
Okay, fine. Oh, and
Thank
the
you.
other
Thank you,
tidbit
Kel.
of info. Yeah. Trish, thank Kelly for that. I'll wait till May. That's all. Because Kelly likes, she likes whatever. Anyway. So that said,
it irritates the crap out of me.
Yeah, I talked to Dennis today. Another matter, and then the other one came up. Whether you could, how do I say it, present an article, the town meeting to remove or half something that passed. And he said, yeah, you can do it on town property, he says. But, you can't block an entrance. So anyway, I'm going to get in touch with, what's his name? Bill, okay? The other thing is, I said, hey, I says, not happy. I said, this is a 26-year-old member of the Board of Health. Not 26 years old, but excuse me, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I wish I was 26. Don't I look 26? No, never mind. More like 70. But anyway, because I'm closer to 71 now, guys. So, really. September 21st, so.
Keep going.
Anyway, so that said.
I haven't even had dinner yet. It's 9 o'clock.
That said, I swallowed mine, but anyway. That said, he says, I'm not sure why, he said, but the selectmen are doing nothing with reappointments. So he said he would try to find out what's going on. But he said, no matter how you vote, he said, you're a member. He said, he says, someone goes to use that you seconded it, or there was, let's say, only 2 members on the board that night. My vote counts just like as if I was appointed.
I don't know, Vinny. We didn't send in the renewal.
Well, no. I mean, I did. I sent the application. They didn't act on it. So the onus is on the appointing board. They're the ones that didn't do it.
Just like
so Dennis said, don't worry about it, Vinny. He said, I hope you weren't up all night. I said, no, I wasn't. I said, yeah, I just might have been talking to myself about it, and people are wondering why I'm mumbling while I'm mowing my lawn. I'm usually cursing geese.
Now that you brought up renewal, I'm up for renewal as well. I've been here more than a year.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, you got to put that in there, Bruce. Get your application there. I think it's a landslide.
So I guess maybe we can put that on the next agenda.
Yeah, add that to the agenda, please.
Yeah.
That means it's reviewed.
By the way, Laura's not on, but Laura's storming her way through the Gulf Coast now. She'll be a Category 3 by Wednesday morning. Or Thursday, Wednesday evening. Yeah.
I got an email from my brother, who's the weatherman for the Weather Channel.
Yeah.
Should be here by Sunday.
Laura said she's been waiting. I was talking to her today. She said, I've been waiting for a storm to get my name. I said, yeah. Because we might have had Laurie, but it was actually Laura. So I thought it was pretty cool. When I saw that, I said, all right. And by the way, the other one was Marco, not Marco Polo, but my girlfriend and I were going like, hey, it's Marco Polo coming in.
All right, I have something else too. I have a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Go have some supper,
carries.
Cal.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.